context here is that we asked the department to give us some additional information beyond what was provided during the budget testimony, looking specifically at a comparison between the FY27 budget and FY19, which was pre-pandemic, obviously, and to see how has staffing changed in that time, how has programming changed, whatever obligations you either taken on voluntarily or involuntarily. And then interesting to look at, of course, costs would have gone up even with flat staffing. So I think that's what we were after.
Okay. For the record, Danielle Fitzko, Commissioner of Forest Parks and Recreation. Appreciate your interest in looking at sort of the change in positions from FY19 to 27. We had to go back and do some research on it. And I'll share that I did submit a document, so you have that. We have additional 25 positions since FY19 to FY27. That seems like it is a lot, and it is. Of those 25 positions, 20 positions are limited service positions. So what we do is we get additional funding in, probably from the federal government. We would go to the Joint Fiscal Committee and show that we have funding for a certain period of time and request a position to help us implement that grant.
What is your total role and employee number?
We have currently right now 144 year-round staff.
144 year-round.
So we had 119 and we have 144 now. We still have a high summer seasonal employment with state parks. I can go through some of the drivers of the change, if that's helpful. And maybe I'll do it by programmatic area. We have 4 divisions. Our administration division, which is really like the circulatory system that does all our grants, contracts, budgeting. They were very under-resourced. I think they now have 5 new positions in there. We actually did some organizational restructuring, moved a position from forestry over to administration, and converted an exempt position into administrative position, because the programs can't do the work if we can't get the money and the grants and the paperwork moving. So that was a dedicated organizational performance sort of effort in administration. In forestry, the story is a little bit different. They have been very successful in receiving federal grants from the Forest Service, and particularly through the infrastructure, IRA, Inflation Reduction Acts, and the bilateral infrastructure law, the IRA, BIL. We've received over $10 million in funding. So they're one-time sort of competitive funding sources that will time out within the next 2 to 4 years. Because of those funds, we got around 9 new positions in forestry to support that work. That includes implementation of our Forest Action Plan, which is a 15-year vision for our state forests. So we hired a climate forester, outreach and education, because we knew we needed to do a better job telling a story, and introduce a invasive species coordinator, because we know we have a lot of introduced pests sort of coming in or at our borders. We hired a wildland fire specialist, and then we hired specific staff around private lands and forest economy. So there's a suite of new staff that will eventually, these positions will time out within the next 2 to 4 years. In state parks, when we were implementing the Parks Modernization Study, which was, parks celebrated 100 years last year, we did a modernization study, like what does it look like for the next 100 years going forward? And the analysis came back and said we were very heavy on seasonal staff, which we know, and they recommended we try and convert some seasonal staff to more year-round staff. And so we did convert 4 positions. These are classified positions that we went to the legislature to get approved. So we reduced 8 seasonal staff to be able to hire 4 year-round staff, because there's so much that happens in the off season. As you can imagine, like we're basically opening and closing a business every year. And I can tell you the HR stuff behind the scenes is a lot to hire that many people on. So State Parks does have 4 new classified positions. And in the last division is Lands Administration and Recreation. And they actually saw probably the biggest increase in staffing. in particular, two new survey positions because they do all the work on state lands, surveying boundaries. We were able to use funds from other departments and federal funds through conservation efforts to get those two positions, limited service. The federal government, through the Land and Water Conservation Fund, has now recognized that the administration of this program, and we get about $3.3 million a year, is pretty heavy, and they never gave us admin money. They have now started to do that. We were able to bring on limited service staff for that.
Representative Nelson.
Survey staff, you got 100% of my attention. I'm on the waterfowl advisory board. And, you know, we're out buying lands, swamp lots down in Otter Creek. And they're always talking about who, you know, they gotta find someone to survey those. How come, does Fish and Wildlife partner with your folks?
Yes.
And then they just take money from like our waterfowl fund money and use that to pay your people when they're working for them?
Yeah, we don't do all the work for Fish and Wildlife Department, but we do have an MOA, memorandum of agreement, to partner with them. So when we have the capacity, overall, we have 4 survey staff. We will do work on Fish and Wildlife lands as well. And it's mainly to do the due diligence for any new conservation projects, so we understand the boundaries, and also for, you know, we manage a lot of state lands, so we have to do like boundary marking and keep up on that.
I think you and Jason need to get, our Commissioner Batchelor need to get together. Because I think you could put on another person and have them working for them almost all year.
I think they do contract out quite a bit.
Yes, they do, and some of it's reasonable and some of it extortion.
But we are glad that we went from 2 to 4 in the past couple of years, but I think there is more opportunity and it is difficult to get the positions established because you have to show you have dedicated funding to support it for a certain period of time.
You could be the surveyor for everything statewide except for AOT.
We're saying why we need a lot more. But so it is an area that's a focus area for us, and we do provide the agency sort of support for surveying work. We've also seen funding come in for conservation work. So like Act 59, that supported a limited service position. That's the 30 by 30, 50 by 50 conservation goals, and new funding from the Forest Legacy Program. So we have 2 new positions in conservation. One is vacant right now. We probably won't fill. And then we have some positions in recreation grants. That was what I was saying. That's what I was talking about. The Land and Water Conservation Fund is providing admin funds to give us sort of that in-house capacity to support the granting. So overall, 25 new positions. I will say most of the positions are driven by new funding available to us. And so it doesn't necessarily always align with where we actually need more staffing. In particular, I'll share like with state lands, you know, we have a growing land area that we're planning and managing, and you really don't get federal funds for that. So that area is not one that's really been able to grow as much. So it's just we go after what we can to support the overall mission of FPR, but it doesn't always align with where we have capacity needs.
Does federal funds that come in through grants or other programs need a state match typically?
Most of the time, yes, 50% match.
A 50% match.
Both are all a little bit different. Forest Legacy is probably 25%, so that we match it with other staff time, or in a lot of times in-kind work that we'd be doing, or a lot of the money we also grant out to others that will be providing match. So we do have to provide match.
Representative O'Brien?
Yeah, Danny, when you talk about certain positions timing out, so are they just going to sunset, or would the federal government maybe re-up them, or does this body here have to come up with?
Well,
to keep them?
We always are trying to maintain them if we can, but we'll need the resource to do that. Right now, like a lot of the funds are from the Biden administration through those big laws that passed, and so they will time out. We're always looking for new opportunities to bring new resources in. So it's kind of like soft money. But they are limited service. So if we don't bring in additional funds, they will sunset those positions. But our goal is like, it's all really great work that they're doing. I can't imagine losing our climate forester or watershed forester. So we're actually actively looking at all the time.
Representative Nelson?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah, something you said earlier just made me wonder, for a non-limited service position, I'm not sure what that's called,
Yeah, it's a permanent
permanent.
classified position.
classified position. Other than, having the governor put it in his budget and you coming to us and going through the normal process, here's what we're interested in. Is there something else that has to happen to add a classified position?
I think there's two pathways to do that. You could go through what they call the position pool and make a case to HR that you have the resources available. And there's a certain number of positions in the pool, it's not very deep right now. We actually are actively seeking one right now. And I don't think there's very many positions go that way. So that's limited. Or you go through the legislative process and the governor puts it in the recommend and it gets through the big bill. Are the two pathways.
So the pool is essentially taking an existing, it's been budgeted.
Yeah,
And then when you're looking ahead to next year, it would be, okay.
it's not necessarily budgeted in the sense, because it's a vacant position that's like you have a pool of positions. What's vacant and available, you can go try and get one of those positions because they don't want to increase the number of positions within state government.
Representative Lipsky.
Thank you, Jenny. I'm not asking a question that I know the answer to. This is really informative to all of us. The representative had some comments about surveyors. Is it more economically efficient to have in-house professionals, whether they're surveyors or foresters, and contracting from outside firms?
It depends on what the work is. We do believe in surveying. It does serve us well because not only are they there to do like the on the ground work, but they are great expertise they provide us in looking at deeds and looking at survey records. And we have a lot of times we need to go doing that. So having in-house expertise just available is important. An example right now, I mentioned we'll go into the position pool is for an archaeologist position. We do a lot of archaeological reviews for all projects on state lands. And we feel like the amount of money we're contracting out, we could bring on an in-house capacity to do that, which would serve us in reviewing the project, but also just having that in-house expertise to ask questions to at all times and work really closely with the Department of Historic Preservation, which is our partners.
So you believe it's more efficient to have and more productive to have in-house staff?
In some cases, we do contract out a ton of time. I mean, millions of dollars are contracted out that we don't have the capacity for. And frankly, professionals can do a really good job when we contract out, like our trails work.
Right.
We will contract out some vegetation management work that we don't have the capacity for. So it's trying to find the right balance of when it makes sense for the state to do it as a public service and when it makes sense to support the workforce in Vermont.
Thank you.
The representative from Stowe, I cherish your knowledge, but serving on the waterfowl advisory board and seeing some of the amounts of money we gotta put towards surveying a 10-acre swamp lot would make you retch. And if we can partner with someone like FP&R and keep the money in-house and moving it from one organization in state into a valued partner is a great deal. And I know it's a money savings and, when you're looking at $25,000 to survey a lot that you're paying $5,000 to own, it hurts.
So would that be,
I agree.
yeah, and if I'm getting the gist of this, though, it sounds like it would be up to Fish and Wildlife to make that request.
Well, we do currently, just for some background, we do have a state lands innovation working group right now that is looking at all of our state lands responsibilities and looking for efficiencies with staffing and coming up with a plan for that. And we have identified some positions that would be beneficial to have. I will say if you're bringing on a survey person full-time, it's probably at least $150,000 a year. That's just the reality of and that doesn't probably all include the truck and everything else you're going to need to actually get them out in the field.
You know how many lots we're behind in surveying down in the Otter Creek swamp? fun word.
I'm just wondering if you mentioned like a $10 million federal grant that you've received for, I didn't catch all the details on that, but is that reflected in the budgets that you present to
Yeah.
us?
And our biggest one was a $5 million grant, but we had several that's over 10 million in just forestry. We present in our budget each year what we anticipate spending in that fiscal year. So we have a big $5 million grant now. We put $1.1 million in the budget this year. We'll probably have another $1 million next year, depending on what we'll use in-house or what we'll either grant or contract out.
So basically your expenditures are what's in the budget that you present to us, and that might include federal dollars.
Oh, yeah, 30% of our budget's federal dollars. And then a lot of it is also park special fund dollars, bringing the revenue that we bring in from state parks.
I think that the information when you were here last time that you shared broke down in some detail by group, or division or department, how much was federal, how much was.
I think it's about 30% general fund, and this year we only had a 2% increase in general fund overall.
John,
Danny, how many seasonal employees do you have? Approximately.
We approximately say 450, probably a little bit more than that, because that just includes parks, and we bring on trails crews and we bring on forestry staff.
So how does that, I always think of legislators or seasonal state employees. So is there, a pay scale for them if have experience in a certain position, or what benefits do they get?
Yes, well, they don't get like healthcare and those sort of benefits, but they do have benefits for being a state employee. They get access to like our ERP employee, like if you have healthcare, like mental health needs, you want to talk to somebody of those kind of benefits. So we do have a relationship with HR because we like to have people return. We have at least 50% of our park staff are returning each year. So we are able to give them step increases based on if they're been in that position before, which is great that we have that ability. That is not standard across.
Yeah. They get paternity leave or?
I think I don't know all the ins and outs on the HR pieces, but they do certainly, I think, get some sick time.
Yeah, I was wondering in terms of the 30% you get from the federal government, has that changed this year with some changes in federal funding in lots of other places? Or have you guys been pretty steady?
We're pretty steady. Certainly we were unsure
Yeah.
for last year, but with the FY26 federal budget passing,
Yeah.
we are looking steady.
Wow.
And in some areas, actually a little more.
Awesome.
Okay. So in 2019, you had about 125 full-time.
119.
19, and now you're at 150.
Yeah, 144.
Now
it's at 25.
25. With 20 limited service.
And and I know you described some of the programs that have been put in place since 2019. Are they mostly federal programs then that have kind of brought about the increase of 25 employees?
They are federal opportunities that we go after to meet our goals here in Vermont. So, for example, the climate resilient, we have an Inflation Reduction Act grant. It's called for forest resilience. So that was the $5 million grant. With those funds, we're working with UVM, and they're creating resiliency standards for forest management because we feel like it's really important to have that in the state. We're also going to be doing a certification program for loggers and for forests, say like we're resilient certified. And then we're going to be paying loggers to do resilient strategies. So we feel like we're going to do really solid management. We're going to be promoting that. And then we're going to pay the practitioners to do that good work. So it supports the forest economy and also good stewardship. So we identify sort of our goals and then seek the opportunities the federal government is providing us.
And you have one or two staff to head that up.
On this one in particular, we have 3 that we brought on. We are approved for 4, but we're only going to fund 3, just recognizing we're still trying to be fiscally responsible because we're not quite sure what the future holds with federal dollars.
Slow camp part of
Slow camp is
resiliency.
legislative driven program, which we think is fantastic. That's all general fund dollars. Slow Camp is infrastructure for water quality best management practices and resilient infrastructure. So a little bit different because this is veg management work as opposed to the more harder infrastructure.
There's some position changes document that I'm looking at that you, I guess, provided, talks about, maybe you said positions that will sunset. Did you say how many?
We have 20 limited service positions. So those actually have an end date that's attached to them. Some of them will hopefully get more funding in that will maintain them.
Funding you can keep.
Yep, but if we don't, they will sunset. I'm mostly concerned about some of our forestry positions.
Those are full-time.
Full-time.
144.
Yes,
And 20% increase in staffing over 8 years is pretty high.
I would tell you that we probably have some areas that could still see some more
We
staffing.
won't see that again in another 8 years, another 20.
Once the pendulum swings again.
It'd be down 20.
Could be.
Yeah.
We look at the opportunities in front of us and I said, should we not do good work? We take advantage of the funding and try to do good work while we can.
That certainly makes sense. We've kept you well past your time. Is there another quick question before we?
I just have, do you share any of your, employees with, say, UVM Extension or with other divisions of A&R?
We do certainly do collaborative work. We do have a relationship with UVM Extension in our urban and community forestry program, where we provide them funding to staff a position for us. So we certainly look for partnership opportunities, particularly in our state lands work. We have staff in our lands division that supports all of A&R's planning and management for state lands. So they work across DEC and Fish and Wildlife Department.
Server Learn was in yesterday. There's some money in the base budget, I believe.
Yes, we had $500,000 last year that was put in base that is maintained this year. Right now, there's no additional general fund base dollars or one-time funds in our budget.
Nothing additional.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. And it is in your budget, the FPR budget.
Yeah, the 500,000 is in our FPR budget.
All right. Well, thank you for making the time again this morning.
I'm happy to follow up with any questions you have.
Okay.
Thank you.
You know what? It just occurred to me, we have lots of interest in, and we hear testimony from organizations that think we should be spending more on this or more on that. What we don't have is anybody coming in and saying, and because the administration can't say this, but coming in and saying, we think FPR should be funding more in this area, for example, like surveying or in land management.
Yeah, with the surveying, it would be, Fish and Wildlife's gonna spend the money. And like I said, some of those contracts, you look at them, you're like, oh. And if they're gonna spend the money, spend it in-house.
Yeah.
And maybe get it done for 70% of the cost,
Yeah.
but spend it in-house. And then that helps fund that position because we were so far behind in all our surveying on our state lands.
Yeah.
And,
And it reminded me of I was thinking actually before this even came up about the forestry positions and how far behind that job was that we went that
yeah,
visit we had last year, like a decade or more. And arguably there could be more staffing, more staffing there would address that issue. But nobody comes in to make that case. I mean, we just sort of comes up and we say, yeah, maybe, but.
the way logging forestry's going, we're gonna be at a 4-to-1 before we know it.
We are on schedule. Wow, what do you know? Thank you all for being here on time, Jackie. Hi, good morning. Do you want to kick us off here?
Shall, thank you very much.
Tell us which hat you're wearing.
Well, I don't have a green jacket on today, so. Today I am, thank you very much, committee, for having us in. My name is Jackie Folsom today. I am the lobbyist and the secretary for the Vermont Fairs Association, and I'm excited to bring in some representatives of our fairs. I probably will also start this out by saying we're probably the only organization that is coming in not asking for money and not asking for more. Although if you'd like to write us in, that would be wonderful. But you're going to hear from the fairs that are here today, excuse me, about what they're doing with the stipends, which is $110,000 out of the out of the Agency of Agriculture budget. And also we get $300,000 in capital grants from the institutions committees. That has been the same for the last 4 years. And these folks are going to tell you what they do with it and how they capitalize the funds that they do receive. So we have a little different group that is on your agenda. I don't know if they're all on the agenda, but some people became ill. Some people are still trying to get in through the building because we weren't expecting single entry today, you know. So that on top of parking in Minneapolis, it's become a real issue. I do have information. Every year we hand out an economic impact of the fairs. And when the fairs apply for their capital grants and their stipends through the Agency of Agriculture, they have to fill out a form with information about their attendees, how much they spend, a lot of different things. And then I make them fill out an economic impact survey about specific things that we know you're interested in. So I do have to say that there is a huge misspelling on here that I expect you all to find when you read this. And that's the only reason I did it. No, I really screwed up. So, and you also have this on your website. We have today representatives from the Bonneville Fair, the Caledonia Fair, the Vermont State Fair in Rutland, Champlain Valley, and Lamoille. Sorry, I forgot you guys. And I'm going to ask Chris Vance to start off because he's doing double duty today. As soon as he finishes here, he's got to run downstairs and testify in front of Senate Agriculture. So if you have any questions for them, please ask. They've been told you're going to be asking really hard, difficult questions on fairs, which is so much fun. So they're here prepared and hopefully they'll do a great presentation and get you updated. Thank you very much. Chris?
Good morning, Chris Vance. I'm with Caledonia County Fair. Just a point of information, Jackie mentioned stipend and the capital grants. For those that don't know, that money is split evenly amongst every fair. So no fair gets, more than another fair. So I just think that's an important thing. A couple things that I just wanted to mention, when it comes to the stipend money, that's important to us. I would just share that, Caledonia County Fair spends $71,000 a year in just premiums. And that's, like everything has gone up significantly over time. What's that? No, this is premiums that we pay out to exhibitors. So horse pullers, cattle, rabbits, Floral Hall, so that's what your stipend money, is there to support. And I think we each get around 17.
It's about 12,000.
About 12,000. So I'm just throwing that out. What's that?
Yeah, how much?
71,000. And again, I would just share that, it's an ongoing situation that we all find ourselves in. It's harder and harder for people to afford to participate. And so to entice, people to come, premiums, need to be increased over time. So I just share that for what it's worth. The other thing is capital grants. And I thank you for the support of the capital grants. I would just, share with you, last year, we had a chance, and I would just pass this around for anybody that wants to look. This is just kind of shows you what Caledonia County Fair has done with their capital grants. As, just kind of a reference, and I would just share this with you. This is in 1993. This was before my time. But that's when Caledonia County Fair's grandstand burned down. And I would tell you that at that point, most likely our fair would cease to exist if it wasn't for the support and benefit that we have experienced from the state of Vermont. So I thank you for that, because at that point in our existence, we were really in tough straits, and infrastructure had declined, and And we really didn't have any financial ability to replace our grandstand and continue to operate. So I would just share that, you know, due to the support of the State House, we've flourished. And not to be biased, but I would tell you that we are probably one of the nicest looking fairs in the state of Vermont. That's just my opinion. But just to give you a couple tidbits, over the last couple of years, actually 5 or 6 years, we've worked on exclusively our cattle department and transforming every building in the cattle department, as most of those buildings were, you know, had been there for many generations. So we just finished up our last building, which was an extension to Lawrence Arena. And we took our existing show arena that was built in 2002 and put a 14-foot extension on either side of it so that we could move our seating area of spectators outside of the show ring for safety, and created a small animal barn and the judges' booth, again, outside of the show ring, making it one of the larger show rings in New England that we're aware of. And I haven't had an opportunity to present in front of this committee, but we were able a few years ago to pull the New England Holstein show that has been historically held in New Hampshire. That is now being held in Vermont for the last 2 years, and they've signed up for 3 more years. So anything we can pull out of New Hampshire back into Vermont makes us very happy. So again, we're doing that. The year before that, you know, so this year we will be putting some more space, God willing, onto our antique pavilion building so that we can house more antiques. And we'll be putting in a new wash rack in the cattle department to kind of finish that up for the needs of that area. So again, capital improvements. Why is it important? Why is it something that I believe is truly special? I think it's what really continues to push us in a direction of every year having to come up with how we want to improve our grounds and our facilities. And as we all know, you have 2 choices. You can either continue to improve and create something that people want to go to, or you can decay and go the other direction. I think capital improvement, in my opinion, has always been important because it is that one thing that gives us that seed money, that push to say, what are we doing this year? What are we doing next year? And it just keeps us focused. It keeps us on task. So again, I think it's critically important. Other things going on at Caledonia County Fair. This year, we are in the process. We started last year. Construction will start in the spring, but we are working with the University of Vermont on putting up a weather station in Lyndonville, mainly because they came to us with a desire, because there was a lack of monitoring in our neck of the woods at keeping track of what the weather conditions were, and needed to have something that would better alert the community of what was going on. So we agreed to, they asked us if we would provide some land. We agreed to do that, and we've gone through the town. And so that will start in the spring, and that will be a 30-foot tower that will be going up that will track all sorts of things. So that's kind of exciting, and I think it's very beneficial. Beyond that, I think I've chatted way more than I probably should, unless there's questions.
It's very informative. Representative Nelson had a question, I think.
Yeah, so the money you get from institutions, that's the money that y'all split up to use for your infrastructure and whatnot. Explain to the committee how you leverage that money. I know in Barton at New Orleans County Fair, which does have the greatest horse pulling pavilion in New England,
Okay,
which was built 100% with private funds.
I wouldn't disagree, but go ahead.
My father built it.
Yeah,
I might be prejudiced. But anyway, you leverage, explain to the committee how much you leverage your money and the donations you get from your community and your agricultural community. People,
Yeah, so it's, as I said, seed money. I look at, as seed money, as we talk about, capital grants around 30.
30 to 35,000.
Yeah, so 30 to 35,000, which again is, is a lot amongst all the fairs, but, I'll give you some examples, but, it's a way for us to, again, to my point, is to come up with the idea. What is it we want to do? What's the project that we hope to do? And then to use, that, the process and the money to then go out into the community to solicit sponsorships and local businesses to support the rest. So some example, the thing that I always find interesting, the entire Lawrence Arena that we built in 2020 or 2002, the entire show arena cost Caledonia County Fair $56,000, the entire building. The 14-foot extensions that I just told you that we put on either side of that, 14 feet extensions off the sides of the building, cost us $120,000. So once upon a time, capital grants, or capital projects at a fair, at least in our fair, because it's small, we're in the 40, 50, 60,000, 80,000. It's physically impossible to really do anything anymore that's under $100,000. But again, the importance of capital grants, I think, is just that we get ourselves, busy at coming up with things and then using the money to start the project and then go out and solicit other things. So.
Lawrence Arena, there's some of you here that might remember Representative Dick Lawrence. That's who that was named after. He was instrumental for years and years and at the fair. So I'm telling you.
Chair of House Ag.
Chair of House Ag. When the hell old are you, fair fish?
180 years, I believe. Bonneville claims to be going longer, but I would just tell you, I just had to do I spoke in front of the Linden Institute kids the other day, so I had to do research. 1859 is when Caledonia County Fair started in St. Johnsbury and was used as an encampment during the Civil War. So I found that quite interesting. So go ahead.
Well, I'm just curious, and across the fairs, if building is named after someone, is that because they funded it or because it's honoring them or kind of both? Or
can be a combination, but mostly I would just say in our situation, it's because they gave a significant donation towards the project. Yes.
And Addison Fair,
John was
which is
thinking he would have
represented
a
here today, they built a new building with a new cattle barn a couple of years ago, and they named it after Diane Norris. So some of you might remember Representative Terry Norris. She had nothing to do with it, but she was a longtime president of Addison Fair, and so they named that building after her.
so it can be honorary or financial or both.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Everybody, we've got until 10 after 5, so 10 after 5 after 10. Thank you, Chris.
You need to be in another committee, Jackie?
He does.
Okay.
But the rest of them are good.
And we have a little time at the end, so we can,
Perfect.
if you have time, yeah.
Yeah, we have plenty of time. Scott? So now you're gonna come up and argue who's got the older fair, right?
We know. Bonneville was 1797, that was the first fair.
Jed was there.
My name is Scott Bashy. I'm the representative for the Bonneville Fair. The sentiments are pretty much echoed what Chris said about the capital grant projects. We operate on 9 acres. 3 of them are parking. We do a 3-day event. And when I took over 5 years ago, the very first year, we made a 5-year plan. The very first year, we spent $80,000 in electrical upgrades. Without the capital monies for those types of things, it wouldn't happen. There's just no way. Our fair is entirely run by volunteers. We are a 3-day event, and what Chris said about the seed money. So when we look at that, yes, we have upgraded all of our electric, which is huge. I mean, we were sorrowfully lacking our breaker boxes. When you opened them, the breakers fell out. So it wasn't just a matter of that we were underpowered, but it was a safety issue. You can't have a good fair if your people aren't safe there. So we started with that. And then this last year, we actually completely redid our cook shack again. That was just in horrible disrepair. And this year, we're moving on to redoing one of our oldest buildings, the Quilt Hall. The monies that we get, we know, okay, we can put this much into it, which saves us that much. We go out, we do other things. Our fairgrounds, we put on 4 concert series in the summertime. It's free, but we charge vendors to set up there. We have a dance recital. We have a country jamboree this year. The Peru Fair is no longer in existence. They're done. So we actually picked up all their vendors want to come in and do a street fair on our grounds. So that's how we also bring in the money. But like last year, we were able to bring in, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Samples, the band. They were a local band that started here, hit it big nationally, globally. We were able to bring them in on Friday night because that you free money up that you can then take and invest in something like that. And I think on that Friday night, on our tiny little grounds, we did 71,000 at our gate for just that Friday night. And it sounds great to start with. Our system is set though that we split everything at the gate with the carnival people. So it's a half split. And then what you figure out, it's like Chris said, every year to get prepared to know what monies, premiums you're going to pay out. We actually ended up in our account with a whole whopping 15,000 when all was said and done. So it really is true. Without your continued support, without the stipends, without the capital grant monies coming in, fairs, my fair especially, we would just cease to exist. And this will be our 228th year continuous. And we held a fair during COVID as well, because we figured out a way to open up our floral hall, had people bring in their exhibits. We went in afterwards, we judged everything, and then we contacted them to come back, get their ribbons, their money, whatever. But it becomes a source of pride. Like all of our people are volunteers, as is most all these fairs. And the reason they do it is they do it for the love of the fair, and they do it for keeping that tradition alive. And we're losing so many of our traditions because the cost is just astronomical. It costs us $5,000 to just bring in a sled for the pulling exhibit. And it doesn't matter whether it rains or not, he gets his $5,000. So as always, every year I've come up here, I've always, really just want to thank the committees on this, because it really is imperative. It's money that we can count on to move forward, continue to improve our biggest little fair in Vermont, oldest fair in Vermont. And yeah, so it's a pleasure to be able to come here and actually speak with the people that make the decision.
Representative Lipsky.
Yeah, thank you. I used to live in Bonneville in the 1960s and early 70s.
So you remember a different kind of fair.
That's I want to congratulate you. I came down this year, been almost 55 years since I've been there. Still have a lot of friends. Beth Jenks.
She's my ex-wife. And also the vice president. I'm the president. She's
no, vice president. It's not my. But anyway, that floral hall, and I go to pretty much every fair in the state. Exceptional. You talk about a postage stamp and a floodplain. That Winhall River gets angry every so often.
Oh yeah.
And I'm a little nostalgic though. It is a very wholesome place, and beautiful. And
Thank you.
Good friends with your neighbor, Bonneville Bloomis.
Yep, Peter Cornell.
Peter.
yep.
And other than the truck pulls which shape the dishes in their cabinet, they're down at that end.
Yeah,
It's just great.
yeah. Peter will stop me on the street once in a while and be like, getting sick of replacing plates. I'm like, I get it, Peter. I get it. It's
But,
once a year.
It is a pride for that community. I'm encouraged that you've expanded a whole, Kathy explained all of
Yeah,
different festivals.
yeah. We've tried to push as much as we can on our tiny little piece and yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I will make sure I take that back.
As regards to Beth.
I will do.
Visited Larry last November.
Yeah.
in Salem.
I worked for Larry Jenks for 17 years.
I worked for him winter maintenance during some of the blizzards.
I'm gonna have to have a chat with Larry then.
Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
The, mentioned the Peru Fair, which is right.
Our neighbor in town, yes.
So, that was not a fair that was part of the organization.
So the Peru Fair was really what it was is they would take on their main street and they would basically line it with vendors and, food and crafts and things like that. Real loose use of the word fair. I think it should have been the Peru Gathering because outside of that, there really wasn't anything, but they had such a huge following of the vendors that they actually reached out to us for a space to continue what they're doing.
The definition to receive a stipend or a grant in the statute is you have to have a 3-day fair and you have to have competitions. So Peru, when I started with the Fairs Association, they were what we call an associate member. So we used to list them on our rack cards and promote them. But I went down one year. It was a homecoming,
Yeah.
is what it was. And Bonneville, actually, it was Beth that got them involved a couple of years ago because they were not part of our association, but she heard about the grants.
Yeah.
And so they have been really, one of them always comes to our meeting now, and they've been very, very active in the association. So we're very grateful that they found us.
I don't know the history, but as somebody who's from Bennington County, Win Hall is in Bennington County. And there isn't a county fair. There's no Bennington County Fair. I don't know
No.
whether historically
Oh.
the Bonneville Fair sort of served in that, somehow that niche or.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus, you're right in the heart of the ski country there. And a lot of our year-to-year people are actually folks from Connecticut, Mass that come up just specifically to make sure they go to the fair.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
From the smallest fair, we'll go to the largest ones.
A mere 103 years old.
It's supposed to be the Vermont State Fair?
Yeah.
Waiting.
Yeah. Thank you for your time. Tim Shea, Champlain Valley Exposition. And I will probably just echo what our friends before us said. Thank you. The grants that we receive, we pay about, I think, $60,000 in stipends. So the $11,000 or in premium, I should say, the $11,000 in stipends help to offset that. And the capital grants are critical as well. We've taken a strategy a few years ago to invest them in some of the things our fairgoers don't see, exciting things like water and electric infrastructure, which are just critical to our existence to be able to operate the fair, HVAC units. But what that does is it frees up other money to spend on tools and items we need to run a fair, tractors, side-by-sides, that type of equipment that may not qualify for the capital grant, but because of the shelf life of some of those assets. But if we can put some of the money into things that aren't that fancy, the fairgoer don't see, but are critical to our mission, it frees up other money. About 3 years ago, we have a big horse barn in our back that we really only use for the 10 days of the fair. We host a couple of other horse shows. It was in dire need of repair, and we thought it would be a $40,000 to $50,000 repair. It turned out to be $150,000 once you start to peel back that onion. And then we asked the question, well, why repair it? Because we need it for the 10 days of the fair, and to replace it with renting a tent, renting horse stalls, you just couldn't do it. And now we have a great barn that we host 4-H events for, that we do throughout the summer, that we don't charge for. It just allows us to continue to be an asset to the community outside of the fair. We also do quite a bit of work for at local public safety because of the facility that we have. We have state police is there all the time, free of charge, obviously training. The National Guard is there. This past summer, we're in Essex Junction, obviously, and the fire department approached us. I guess in the state of Vermont, it's really lacking for fire training sites. And we have kind of a back part of our grounds that we don't use at all. And they asked us if they could place some Conex boxes there and stack them to replicate, a burning home, which we were more than happy to do. So they placed the Conex boxes last fall, and they'll start training this spring. They'll burn hay to get smoke, and then cut some holes. So you have a 2-tier building for Essex Fire Department, but they're also going to make it available to other fire departments in the area. Again, that space is all we provide free of charge, and we're more than happy to do it. And that's why the funding that we receive from the state is so helpful, because it allows us to maintain some things so that we can provide that space to local community groups. We host the city of Essex Junction elections now, and again, all free of charge. But because we have monies coming in from the state to pay for some of the infrastructure, and then we have other special events to help subsidize some of the events that we can provide on a complimentary basis. So I'll be brief, because others are speaking behind me, but happy to answer any questions.
ZZ Top.
Yes.
Can't wait. I can't wait. And
Start growing a beard, Richard.
I went 2 years ago to Florida, which I had no idea where I was going, and I never had so much fun. My wife was but anyways, thank you for doing, because of your size and your proximity, the things that you do and the things you bring to us so that we can escape the Northeast Kingdom or other parts of the state and go in and have a fun day.
Thank you.
In that kind of situation, because it is much appreciated. And the North American Dairy Expo was there last year, and unfortunately they made a bad choice and are moving.
I agree.
But that was a wonderful event, and we'll get the farm show back going and get back to your house. And thank you for all of that.
Excited of the farm show return in spring of 2027. They're looking at, which we're thrilled about. It's been a long time.
Day off, Chair Murphy. Maybe a milking competition. I can whoop Ingles.
And
You know.
it's also one of the fairs that is part of the 3-acre impervious surface.
When you go to these fairgrounds, and I know they have roof area, and I know they have driveways and roadways and whatnot, but the amount of green area you have at all these fairgrounds, I can't imagine. It would have to be a 25-year storm event for you to have runoff at that fairground, or at Barton, or at Rutland. Who's from Rutland?
We are.
Yeah, or at Rutland and Caledonia and a lot of these other.
We tried to, when this came up a couple of years ago, we tried to argue that the amount of open green space was larger and was mitigating the water.
Absolutely.
And we were not heard.
Well, we
Is
keep
that
working on it.
Status of we pushed the,
So there was a $2 million amount that the legislature put through towards the fairs, the 4 fairs. So that's Orleans, Orleans, Champlain Valley, Addison, and Rutland. And Tim, you're shovel ready. You're ready to go, right?
We're completing a good amount of the project so far. Yeah. So we all received $550,000.
Right. And so it's for Addison, actually, they had an engineer who overbuilt their system, and they went back and said, can we just do, because we've been to Addison, there's a lot of green space. So they went back and kind of did riprap through some of the drainage ditches, and that apparently was approved, so they're not going to use the entire 550,000. Orleans, I think they just worked with their engineer. I don't have anybody here today from them. Oh, are you Art?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. Art, hi, I've never met you, so I will let you speak. And it's Rutland. That's the poster child for what everything that's wrong with this.
I thought we passed some legislation last year making a carve-out for Rutland on part of that. Did we not?
You eliminated the impact fee that they were gonna have to pay, which was like $50-some thousand, but there's actually a bill in the building now to eliminate the impact fee on everyone that's in the system for 3 acre. So they eliminated the impact fee, but they're still under the gun for having to do the program, which we're fighting.
Any other questions for Tim? Yeah, John.
Tim, how many weekends a year do you have something going on at Champlain Valley?
It's a great question. I know that it's rare that we don't have something going on. And we're fortunate to be able to host Cub Scout camps that we don't charge for. So a lot of the events we have one weekend, we host horse event centers, but we're happy to make the space available to some of these events. That's why the special events we have are so important, because they subsidize our ability to host these events free of charge. So we try, like anything, you try to keep the place as busy as you can, because you have to, the 10 days of the fair, you have to maintain the infrastructure, and you have to keep the place busy the other 355 to help fund the fair and the operations.
Just to comment, the capital grants then, when they go to sort of boring, important stuff like, water, septic, whatever, they're being used all through the year.
No question. No, it's critical.
I think a lot of these fairs, I mean, I know Tunbridge is, when you look, it's not just the Tunbridge Fair, it's, the Sheep and Wool Festival, it's a Morgan Horse, a tractor pull.
And it has to be, in order to maintain the infrastructure you need for your fair, you have to keep revenue coming in other times.
Chair Durfee, not only did Champlain host the dairy show, but early May, they're going to be hosting the Northeastern Loggers Expo, which happens every 2 years there, relevant to our committee, the forestry. And
It's a great show. If you haven't come, it's a great show to attend.
it's a revenue generator for the fair.
I just want to emphasize something you said earlier, because it's so important, and why I think this funding is important, and that is that infrastructure improvements are largely invisible to the public. Stormwater runoff, a new roof, electrical, sewer. You fix that, who notices unless, the sewer line doesn't work. They don't notice the sewer unless it doesn't work. So I just wanted to emphasize, I think that's a really important point, that this money's so important.
Replaced a culvert 3 years ago for $100,000. And we would have locked a gate had we not done it.
And they're so expensive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chair, I don't know how you want to do that. I have 3 fairs left in 5 minutes.
Well, if anybody's able to stay longer than the 5 minutes,
Yes.
anybody who can't stay longer, maybe.
No, everybody's fine. We
Okay.
have their next committee is Senag, and they're already down there. So-
Okay.
Actually, Jack, because I'm supposed to be going to Senate. And I think you scheduled me.
Yes, so would you like to wander down there, and that will eliminate 1 fair?
Yeah, or if you want to just
Or do you
take.
want to talk?
I
I can take a brief moment.
Sure.
Yeah, please.
Let you know what we're planning this
This
year.
is Lamoille Field Day.
My name is Randy Beam from Lamoille County Fair. This is my 5th year being involved with the fair. My main objectivity before was keeping the grounds clean, ready for field days. And then myself and my great-granddaughter Jenna, she will be 14 next month. She has helped me in the animal barn for the past 5 years. Back in October, I was elected president of Field Days. So I came to Field Days. I do want to thank you very much for the grants. I know I am looking forward to this year. Normally, we have our field days and then we don't utilize our fairground. This year, we are planning a car show the 15th and 16th of August. And then also the 19th and 20th of September, we're going to host a working dog trial competition. And like with our capital grant this year, we just fixed up one of our existing buildings, Harlow Hall. And when it was erected, I mean, like the center of it, it's a 30 by 40 center that's asphalt. And then it's a nice concrete. One of our projects, the asphalt is going to be removed, taken away, and it'll be one concrete pad. I mean, it just gives it a better look and more secure. We also, on our back gate, which is our main entrance during the winter, we have a sliding gate. And trust me, it's not fun when I'm there trying to open that gate. I got a flamethrower now, so I can loosen up, and otherwise we're going to be changing that to swinging gates. We also, in our 4-H building, at the moment, we have 2 sliding doors that come together. We are going to be putting in overhead doors, just ones that you can push up manually, pull down manually, just make it more secure. And I think our fair, I believe this will be 64 years. I'm sure 64 years.
That makes you the youngest fair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's also around there.
Okay.
Yes.
Representative Byrd.
Yes.
When do you have your fair? It's a pretty early one, isn't it?
Our fair is July 17th, 18th, and 19th this year.
So that's one of the earliest.
Yes.
Yep. It's nice to have that spread.
Yes.
For folks.
Yes.
to Enjoy it all.
And one thing, and it looks like it will happen this year. I attended the Vermont, New Hampshire trade show, and there is a company, the name of the company is Little Digger. And basically what they do, they have a 40 by 60 area where it's like an excavator, different types of heavy machinery that are basically a swing set, a slide, but they also do workshops for the different trades, like carpentry, electrical, and things like that. And we are hoping we will have them this year at Field Days. I mean, trying to just bring in new things, keep an interest up. And one thing I cannot stress enough, and heard this at the Vermont trade show, thank God for my great granddaughter, because if we did not have these younger people, so many young people now, it's like, no, we don't want to do that. Or how much are you going to pay us? Ours is volunteer basis. We do not have any employees, part-time or full-time. It's all volunteer. I know just within the past month, we have a very large increase of volunteer interest of people who want to get involved with helping out at Field Day. So we are open to anything. We love to bring you on.
Representative O'Brien.
Really quick question.
Yes.
Your website says you're on 100C in Johnson, and this says Hyde Park. Which town are you in?
Actually, our mailing address is Hyde Park,
Okay.
but our physical address, actually, its physical address is 203 Wilson Road, which is right off 100C in Johnson.
Yeah.
I mean, it's noticeable
Johnson,
from,
C and head there.
Yeah.
It's a pretty area.
Yeah,
Very.
for sure.
yes.
Thank you.
I'm gonna yank you because you need to run
Yes.
upstairs. and
Thank
have
you
this
so much for your
plan.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Art, just to let you know, I'm allowed to interrogate here.
We're short on time, so I don't think it's gonna be that bad, right? Thank you.
Timeout.
I'm Art LaPlante, the Orleans County Fairgrounds. I'm gonna start by saying thank you. It's my first time here. I'm new as the president of the Fairgrounds Association, brand new, about 10 weeks into it. So here I am. So thank you for having me and everyone else here, my friends from the other fairs today. Heard a lot of similar stories, feelings, situations that we have. Buildings, for quite a few years, I have been the buildings and ground superintendent. So I feel the pain of some of these buildings and, what we have to do to maintain them. Very happy to say that, the capital grants stipends have been really a lifeline for us. We have saved some of these for a few years, and we are in the process right now of putting up the largest building on our grounds since the Nelson Pulling Arena was done. This horse barn that we're putting up has 60 stalls, 62 by 150 feet. In our area in the center of the Northeast Kingdom, that's a big deal. It's a real big deal. It's not that money's flowing around the state easily, but it's tight where we operate. Donations, sponsorship is just hard to come by. We've had some people that have been very aggressive that have been helping fundraise. So it's going very well. We broke ground in the fall. We have a group of Amish that are working as we speak, that are actually working on it. We've got the building pretty much closed in, starting siding soon. And we're excited that hopefully in the spring we'll be ready to go. We have multiple equine events that are nipping at the bud for us to be ready to go so they can have events there. So we're excited about that. We have also another barn that will be coming down that will be an open stall horse barn, 30 by 120. And we had just got to the point with some of these buildings that, and I don't know if the other fairs, have run across the same thing, but people didn't want to come anymore. They want to bring their animals because maybe some of the conditions of these buildings. Embarrassing, yes, but it's factual. And, we just didn't have the ability and the means to write a check and take care of these things. So we've been trying really hard. 27, we're excited about. We got some things we're planning ahead for, but 26 looks really good. And it's a follow-up to 25. Our numbers are up. Finally, we went through like 5 years. We just kind of kept coming down, and we've jumped it back up. We're excited about that. And we were able to do that with a 4-day fair versus 5. We've been a 5-day fair since 1867. Been around a long time. We have a fair amount of original barns that are still on the grounds. The biggest barns that we have, most of them were original. So, a lot of maintenance issues there to take care of. Some of the premiums that we heard a lot today, it's competitive out there to get these people to come in and compete. You've still got to be putting those premiums out there at a good rate to get them to come. So we're on $70,000, which becomes a challenge for us. So we're doing the best we can, and we're feeling pretty optimistic. We've got some newer people. We just heard that a few younger people that are coming on board. So we're excited there, and things seems to be going well. And again, thank you for the capital grants. I know we're talking 2027 already going to our Flora Hall. That building was purchased, the product material was purchased in 69 and constructed. And that's a 60 by 300 foot building that we do a lot in that building, but we know there's a lot of potential there. And our goal is looking at 27 to totally revamp our south end. It'll give us a commercial kitchen with new ADA bathrooms, handicap accessible, and again get that complete new kitchen in there and insulate and hopefully heat a part of that building, the south leg. Then we can have events all year long there, which is we've got the Bass Trail comes right through. We're open with side by sides and 4-wheelers. The town is all opened up road wise, so we can bring them right in and have events. So our goal is to look at that for 27. And one thing I heard earlier was revenue generators, and that's certainly one for us. So don't want to reiterate everything everyone else said, but I really appreciate the help and support we get from you folks here. Any questions I can answer, I'd be more than happy to give them a try.
Yeah, thank you. All right, thank you for stepping up, and I know it's a big deal, and it's a tremendous amount of time that you folks put into delivering that fair for us to go to. can you speak to, or others speak to the revenue driven for the surrounding communities? And I believe all that vendor food and stuff got a 9% sales tax on, rooms and meals tax on it.
We track the amount of money that the rides do, so it's about 10,000. I think it's on the list. All the fares total that responded to the economic survey, totally, their total yearly budget, fares and everything else was over $9 million. It's an economic driver in their communities, total, $9 million.
Yeah, and so this is money well invested by the state of Vermont into the fair associations between institutions and the money from AAFM for is there any plans in Orleans to back that into August still, get back to our traditional dates, or are we gonna be?
Then a very, very popular question. It's always a part of our annual meetings and yes, it does come up. But to get them back there is a challenge. As everyone that's involved with this knows, it's not like purchasing a vehicle or anything else. You can't pick up the phone and get an entertainment group in there when you want them, right? They're going to come whenever that works well for them. And we just haven't been able to do that. And we switched from middle of August until after Labor Day, however many years ago. And we did it for that reason. We had a company, entertainment ride company, that they were retirement age, had everything for sale, and we couldn't get anybody else. So the only way we were able to was switch our dates. It's been a challenge. I know on the ag side, you know, some of the ag shows to happen while the kids are off for summer vacation. It just became, you know, how do we balance this? And I think for long term, it seems to be working pretty well. We still have a fair amount of people like to see it in August, but
we're adapting.
Well, yeah, exactly. And we've been actually been able to do a lot better in some areas, basically because of that. Because we've had other, you know, some of the fairs that are nearby, we have people that work those fairs, vendors, exhibitors. Then they call us and say, hey, I got a couple weekends off. Can we come to your fair and put on something, you know, before we go to, you know, we go south, let's say to Freiburg or something. And that's worked very well. That's helped us out. But again, we do the best we can. You know, within the past few years, we're able to take, for example, some of these buildings, you know, with really all in-house. We didn't have any capital money we used for it. We took a building that was going to be torn down that had been our blacksmith shop 5 decades ago and had been touched. It was, you know, 1.5 feet into the ground. And we have now moved that, put on a new concrete pad, and we have a fully functional, actually it's a 2-person station blacksmith shop, trying to work with the local high school to get them involved, and maybe that could be an educational piece and get them a little bit more involved with the fair. But we do things like that because we have to. You know, we don't have any other means, and we fortunately have some really good volunteers and some people that have the means. We've had our past president was fabulous, Jason Seacard, and he's had a lot of resources through his business that have helped us out. So we've been pretty fortunate. So in tough times, we still kind of made it happen.
Yeah, thank you. I've spent 3 times over the summer and fall going up there this year, particularly because some of you may not know the equine energy up there. The Vermont Horse Council testifies here, comes to us about certain policy and tax status for equine. It's agricultural, but it's not a food product, etc. But Representative Bartholomew had asked about how one names barns, and I followed the progress on that, you know, spectacular horse barn that you're building.
Yes.
And has that been named?
No,
There was a lady who met her demise.
Yeah, Julie Jacobs.
Julie.
Yes. The plan for that, it will be named after her. She unfortunately, her and another lady, they're the ones that started the whole project. They started spearheading it and raising the money. She unfortunately passed away from cancer at a young age, Julie, and that barn will be named after her. And the hope is we get everything done, ready to be turnkey for Memorial Day. And their event, they want to do that, I think it's a few weeks before, but that's our goal. So I think we'll get to, but you're absolutely correct. The equine is boomed up there, and that's kind of where we are with some of our plans. You know, we just continue to progress in the equine area.
What's great is you and well, Field Days does it many of the things. But you engage local tourist folks. It's not like in East Dorset where it's just millionaires who travel there for
Sure.
5 weeks, 6 weeks through the summer. It's local.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. We're fortunate. We've had a few ladies, not just fundraising, but some of the horse shows and clinics that are extremely hard charges, and they're really taking charge and actually making these things come together. So we've got some good things coming ahead.
And one more group, if we can squeeze.
The Vermont State Fair?
The Vermont State Fair, and while they're
Absolutely.
coming up, I'd like to, Representative Nelson, it's not only can you move this fair back, we're still getting comments about, can you move the farm show back there? So some things never go. Oh, God.
That's it, says you have more room to park.
There you go.
How long ago was that, Tim? It was
2012 was the first year in Champlain.
so nice.
It's still known as Berry Farm Show, even though we're going to the Champlain Valley Fair.
I know, but we still, all through when they were working on where are we gonna do, what are we gonna do, it was, gosh, could you just move it back to Barry? Okay, so the last but not least, we have the Vermont State Fair in Rutland.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lana Kontorski, and I have with me Rick the Courier. We're both trustees on the board of the Vermont State Fair. I just want to first start by, like everyone else, saying thank you for the stipend and the capital grant money. We gave out $21,000, almost 22 in premiums this year. We're not quite as high as everybody else because we had to grow our premiums back. We had to slash them probably about 9 years ago. We had to really slash them badly. So we've slowly brought the amounts up, and every year we look at it and see what more can we give our exhibitors. As far as the capital grant goes, we have repaired water infrastructure, we've repaired sewer, we've done electrical. Now our latest project is geared toward the grandstand. The Division of Fire and Safety has indicated that we must put handrails on the grandstand, and our grandstand is huge. So that's going to be a big project in itself. The other thing we're looking to do is building footings for a couple of the cattle barns. They are very old. They're way over 100 years old. Our fair is 179 years old. So looking to do that too. And we also have to re-erect what we call the machine shed, which is like a covering that we have on the grounds. During the fair, we do use that. Let's see. We dump about $325,000 into the community for the whole year through food vendors. We've done donations for a couple of things. We pay quite a bit for security and police all year round. So that's just an example. Oh, we also donate to the Stuff a Bus in the Christmas fund. We go out and we get sponsorship money to help offset some of that stuff and for the fair. And this year we've got about $37,000 and we're still working on it. One of the things we did do, I mentioned the handrails for the grandstand, but we did put in a new handicap restroom, which was going to take the place of porta potties. So we now don't have to have any porta potties on the grounds at all. And that represents a cost saving for us. Concerns or challenges we have? Well, we're in the process of attempting to comply with the 3-acre rule. It's been a real challenge. Right now, we're in the process of hiring an engineer who can't do the work for the next 3 or 4 months to do the feasibility study. And that is, like I said, that's a challenge. We have how many acres? 17 acres of impervious surface. And we're being very cautious about no more buildings or driveways or nothing going up because we're a little paranoid about that. But we're in a situation where we don't have really room to build the catch basin or for the runoff. We have the railroad on one side, we got Route 7 on the other side. We have right smack dab in the middle of the city.
Right.
So we're surrounded by things that we have no control over. Plus, we have brook that runs right through the property. And there's been some issues that the city's had with that brook. So what we have,
Upstream issues.
yeah, yeah, and there's a culvert there that doesn't allow for smooth flow, but the culvert belongs to V-Trans. So there's nothing that we can do about it, but anyway, so we're just gonna take a deep breath and we're gonna see what the engineering study says, and then we'll have to go from there. I think we have a lot of underground infrastructure, sewer, water, electrical. So, and it's like if you ever saw a map of it, it's just a maze. And you don't know where half the stuff is because the fairgrounds are so old. So, but it's all underground. And let's say we were to build one of those, I call basins, we would lose a lot of ground as far as the fair is concerned. We would lose some rides. We would lose a lot. But anyway, one of the nice things we have is during the fair, we have what's called the passport program for children to learn about agriculture. They get a passport when they come in. Different buildings have a stamp. And when the kids go around and get their stamps, they are given a prize afterward. So it's grown every year. It's kind of fun. We partner with Diamonds and More. They help us defray the cost of that. We do have other events during the year. Usually our events start at the end of April, and we will go through near the end of October this year, with something going on almost every weekend, whether it's horse events or people renting the grounds like relay and stuff, things like that. So that goes on all year round. Let's see. Another source of income that we have is camping. We do offer camping during the months that we're open. We have many campsites that are available for people when they come for a show, or we've had people just want to come and camp, and we said, fine, you come and camp. That's okay. Let's see. What have I forgotten, Rick? Nothing. Rodeo.
Oh, yeah, the rodeo.
We are having the rodeo again this year. Yes. Yeah.
For that, yeah.
August 17th, this Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that Pond Hill or it's a different?
It's Pond Hill comes and does a rodeo at the fair. Yeah. So as far as we know, we're having them on Tuesday.
Maybe down there.
We can make that happen.
And last year you had the Great American Barbecue thing there. How did that go?
Barbecue and brew.
I wanted to go to that and I just couldn't get down. And how did that go? And they're gonna do it again?
I don't know. I mean, I think they were going to give themselves 3 years. Now, we rented the grounds to them. So I'm not privy to, to how well they did. But I do know that they were going to try it for 3 years. And I think this was their third year. So we'll see. Yeah. But we got, we're having some more horse events this year. We have one lady who's a member who started having horse events. But then we have had the opportunity to have a conversation with somebody who does multiple events throughout the year. And we're going to see what she has to offer for us, because we do have a pretty large horse community down in our neck of the woods too. Yeah, yeah.
I did want to add about the 3-acre challenges that they're facing. DEC has been down for a site visit. And we were trying to get them down for another one before we had to go with the engineer. One of the things we noted, they're also backed up into a wetland back in the back. There's absolutely no place to go, and DEC seemed to think that in some of these places, they could just dig up the ground and then put stuff over on top of it. But the other challenge that we have in DEC is, when do you construct during the fair season? So they would be closed down, all of their events, for at least 1, if not 2 years. And we said, is there going to be compensation for that? Well, they didn't think so. So that's still, it isn't just the $2 million for the infrastructure they're looking at them to build. It's the total lack of income for 1, if not 2 years while this is being constructed. And then loss of possible ride areas, loss of possible parking areas. Just Champlain Valley's got the space in the back, and that's where they're putting theirs, and it's not really affecting where fair is happening. But these guys are really in trouble. So we're still negotiating. We'll see what happens.
Capturing tree.
So we not only, we have to capture the water plus
Right,
treat
plus
it
treat it.
before because it's gotta ultimately go back into the brook. And our biggest problem obviously is the fact that we can let it back into the brook, but until V-Trans will replace that culvert underneath the railroad that's not sufficient to handle water flowing through it. It's
I was gonna
kind of
ask,
a new
that's-
situation.
That's under the track, under the railroad tracks.
Bugsy Brook is impaired also.
Right,
Not
I remember.
From upstream.
Yes, not from them. It's a city issue that, so they're caught. They're really caught.
We're running a bit over, so we should probably wrap up, but thank you, everybody who.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
We need to take 5 minutes here.
Yes.
Thank you.